Lion Eye View TV with your host, Seraphim L. This is a new segment giving you history, the punishment of Peggy in Belize, Central America in the year 1821.
Wednesday, July 27, 2022, the Amandala, Belize's leading newspaper, published an article entitled The Punishment of Peggy through History by 06, courtesy of the Ministry of Education, Youth, Sports and Culture, NICH, and ISCR, which reads as follows. A little of history of Belize that you don't know about the Bowen family. On 25th September 1821, Dr. Manfield W. Bowen, a magistrate in the settlement, was brought to trial for the cruel treatment of his slave Peggy, who was suspected of stealing a dozen handkerchiefs. Peggy's punishment included being, quote, tied and severely flogged, then handcuffed and chained in a rat-infested shed for 5 days and nights, end quote. She was released after the common law husband offered to pay a handsome sum for the missing handkerchiefs. The following day, Peggy filed a complaint against Dr. Bowen. When he heard of this, she was again severely beaten under Bowen's supervision. The case was heard by 3 magistrates, close friends of Bowen, and 12 jurors, all white male slave owners. The testimonies provided by 8 witnesses supported the claim of inhumane treatment. Nonetheless, the jury returned a verdict of not guilty. An eyewitness account of Peggy being whipped for missing handkerchiefs in 1821 stated that, quote, I was sitting in my mother's shop and a little girl called me to see a woman who was being flogged in Dr. Bowen's yard. I went into the kitchen of my sister, and on looking through a hole, I saw a woman named Peggy fastened to 4 stakes placed in the ground and laying on her belly, her legs and arms being stretched and tied to the stakes by cords, so that she had no power to alter her position. Her clothes, when I first saw her, were fastened round her hips, and after she was flogged some time by a woman with a cat, her clothes were dragged down until they were below the small part of her thigh, when the whole of her posteriors were exposed. The woman again flogged her on the posteriors, at which I saw, and I was feeling so disgusted that I turned away. After the screaming of the woman ceased, I again looked and saw that she was released. She was then tying up her clothes. This was about 10 o'clock in the forenoon. Dr. Bowen was present during the whole of the punishment, end quote. Peggy continued as a slave of Dr. Mansfield thereafter.